My mistakes don't own me. These battles don't control me.
Hey everyone, welcome to Useful Mistakes. Today we have our friend Maddie as our guest. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I just graduated from college about a year ago. I majored in biology. Right now I'm working for the public schools. I work with kids who have special needs, and I'm a one-to-one aide. A boyfriend and a child who was a cat.
It was a cat. So today we're here to talk about chronic illness. So Maddie, why did you want to bring awareness to chronic illness?
It's something like I've dealt with for a long time. Growing up, I guess, like, even though there were people in my family kind of like dealt with the same stuff, we never talked about it. It wasn't until like college, really, that I started like meeting people that I realized also kind of dealt with some of the same stuff.
So it's more common than you think.
Yeah, like I didn't realize how many young people dealt with this kind of stuff. I always felt like an old person.
Yeah.
Well, it's also something that, like, you know, I mean, I don't like to talk about it. I'm sure like there's probably a lot of other people who don't like to talk about it. And it's something that try to hide a lot. A lot of them are like invisible illnesses.
What are the illnesses that you have?
I started with Lyme disease. That was when I was like 12. So I've been dealing with that like 12 years now.
Okay.
It's about half my life. And then I've also had asthma for a really long time, but that's also gotten worse like in the last couple of years. That's like, I guess, related to inflammation in my blood. I don't even know. As I got older too, I ended up developing like IBS and stuff like that. So a lot of stomach issues.
So how would you define IBS?
It's kind of broad because it's sort of like the general term that they use for like
for stomach
undiagnosable stomach problems. You know, I mean, they did like a colonoscopy and all that, and they were like, oh, it doesn't. I mean, it looks like there's something going on here, but we're not really sure what. It's like as I'm eating, I get cramps and can't even finish. Yeah, sometimes I'm like running to the bathroom like in the middle of a meal.
So when that happens, do you just like decide like, okay, this is a food that I can't eat anymore?
No, it's anything. Sometimes drinks.
So you never know. Wow, what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's like a reflex. That's what the doctor said. Basically, if you're like kind of backed up, I guess, or people who have like stomach issues, it's like the muscles, you know, up here. You're not like digesting the food immediately. It's just that the muscles up here, when you ingest something, they kind of trigger, and then it triggers the stuff down lower.
When did you have Lyme disease?
That started in middle school, but it's like progressively gotten worse and better.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's definitely one thing I never really understood, because I thought before it was like something you get and you get over it, but it's not necessarily like that, or is it always something you have forever?
So there's like a lot of back and forth on that. It's a lot of like kind of political stuff. There's a lot of like legislation around, you know, insurance is not wanting to cover Lyme disease, so they say like it can't be chronic because they just want to cover 2 weeks of antibiotics. You have to have a certain number of like symptoms. You have to have like the rash, which only like 30% of people get.
Yeah.
You have to test positive on the Western blot, which is not the most accurate test. The more accurate test you have to pay for out of pocket, and it's like $100. Yeah, so they say like, you know, you can do 2 weeks of like an antibiotic, and it's out of your system. You're good. But a lot of people, the bacteria, it's a spirochete, and so it literally like spirals in, and then it forms a cyst, and so it can like lay dormant for a really long time. So for a lot of people, they don't know that they have it until they get like the flu or mono or something like that, and then they get like really sick, and then that's when it's like really hard to get rid of. And things that do that, like create a cyst and things like that, they're also known to create like biofilms, which are like super hard for like antibiotics to kill. They can cause like you said, like systematic effects like throughout your whole body and get into your brain, which then causes more long-term effects. So if you catch it like quick, you can get rid of it. But for the most part, it's like you kind of go into like a remission. You kind of get it to the point where your immune system can fight it.
Wow, I'm really surprised that there's not like they don't do more for it if it's really something like so long-term like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do see a lot of, you know, organizations to help that, but it's just, I feel like it is a common thing.
Yeah, it's really, there's not a lot of like research going into finding like an actual cure for it. Even like the doctors that treat it are not like Lyme doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I see a guy that does like integrated medicine. I used to see my Lyme doctor was like an endocrinologist. My sister actually got sick first. Like I said, like, you know, your immune system gets down and it like really kicks in. And so she got super sick, like really fast. You know, like within a couple months she wasn't able to walk. She was having a hard time seeing. And my mom, she was like going crazy, just trying to figure out like what was wrong with her, taking her to like any doctor. And, you know, finally she found someone that was like, oh, she has Lyme disease. You know, did all the testing, whatnot. And then I ended up getting sick a couple years later. I wasn't like as bad at first, but yeah, we kind of like figured right away that it's kind of like what the problem was.
Yeah. So what kind of treatments have you like gone through and tried?
I've done all of the Western medicine, you know, antibiotics and all that. You know, we started, you know, with oral antibiotics, and then as it got worse, I did like long-term IVs, like PICC lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had a lot of those.
Did any of them like work or help or anything?
Kind of. It got to a point where like I couldn't really do them anymore. I started developing like all these weird allergies too. And one of them was like to the adhesive on my dressing. And so I was breaking out in like blisters all over my arm, and it was just like swollen and painful. And then I had like a dressing on it that just like, it was really hard to just like keep sterile. And so then I switched to having shots in my ass every week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those are fun.
Were they painful?
Yeah, because it's a big muscle.
Yeah, it was like toothpaste thick, and it had to go in over the course
stop
of 5
it.
minutes.
Okay, so how have you like been able to deal with this like emotionally? I mean, this must have taken a pretty hard toll on you.
College, my coping mechanism was kind of drinking.
Right.
But then, you know, the IBS kind of got really bad, so couldn't do that anymore.
Like, oh, I can't deal with it like this, or I'll die. So just like talking about it helped.
In some ways, I guess. I've just gotten to be more like comfortable, I guess, about how I feel instead of you know, just hiding it all the time.
And just being like, this is part of me, kind of.
Yeah, and trying to be more realistic with myself. Because, you know, I've always just wanted to be like, you know, normal. Like I wanted to keep up with everybody else. Yeah. And, you know, like especially in college when I got really sick, I felt like super behind. So I had to kind of remind myself that it's not a race, you know. Yeah. I can do it all like in my own time. And especially like recently, you know, my friend, she was trying to help me find like support groups again. And so I was finding like some internet sources, and I found one that was like, I've never been like very good at explaining, you know, what it's like to live with a chronic illness, I guess. But this one lady, she talked about like the spoon theory. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
No, what is that?
So it's like you monitor your energy kind of, or it's represented by like spoons. You have like a certain number of spoons for the day, and that's like your energy level. Oh. And she's like talking to her friend. She's trying to explain like chronic illness or whatever, and she gives her like whatever her number of spoons is, and she's like, take me through your day, and for everything you do, you take away a spoon. And her friend's like, oh, okay. So, you know, I get up in the morning and I go to work, and she like puts down a spoon, and she's like, no, you have to go slower. And she's like, okay. So I get up in the morning and I get out of bed, and you take away a spoon, and you brush your teeth and you take away a spoon, and it's like, you put on your makeup, you take away a spoon. You know, it's how to measure how much energy you have. So I mean, everyone has like a tank of energy, and it gets used up throughout the day. So yeah, mine just happens to be, you know, naturally lower than everyone else's. Yeah. And you know, my dad always said growing up, you know, pick your battles. You know, I've just had to learn how to get better at that, I guess, because I've always, you know, overestimated what I can do. And especially now. I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't really do it. Yeah, no. Like I used to, you know?
Because that's one thing people don't realize too, is like even just like that initial spoon, getting out of bed and stuff, is like a task.
Yeah, I mean, I get up in the morning, it's like all my limbs weigh like 1,000 pounds.
So is there like other chronic illnesses that you deal with too, or just ends with those three? I don't know.
So actually recently, I don't really know if this counts as a chronic illness, but I found out, or I'm in the process of like being tested for like biotoxin illness from mold exposure.
Really?
Which that's like
that has a lot to do with like illnesses too. Like,
yeah, and it's like really kind of common in people who already have things like IBS and Lyme disease. He actually kind of said that that's probably my main issue is like the the mold illness, and he thinks that my Lyme is actually at this point probably treated.
Wow, congrats, yeah, that's cool.
Because at first he was saying like by the end of like treating the other stuff, like my body might just be able to fight the Lyme on its own, and I was like, what? My body can what? Because it should help like reduce the inflammation, which makes my asthma really bad, and you know causes a lot of like my swelling and like pain. It also like causes a lot of my brain issues. I mean, if you can't tell, my brain doesn't really work right.
It still does.
Well, it's like a common thing for like Lyme, which is why I hadn't even considered like a mold thing until I saw this doctor. But they call it like brain fog.
Oh.
That's literally what it feels like. It just like feels like you're in a daze all the time. You know, or I guess sometimes I just like feel like I'm drunk all the time. Like,
Wow.
Just like it's hard to like keep my
So what happens when you actually get drunk? You're like double drunk.
A little bit actually.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really do it too much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me feel terrible.
Too much.
Yeah, too much. Wow.
Yeah, like I forget things all the time. It's like hard to remember stuff. It's like it's weird because it's like it's there, you know, it's in my head still, but it's like everything is stuck on the tip of my tongue.
So you said you're a bio major, right? Were you interested in sciences because of like these illnesses and you kind of wanted to help understand it more, or were you always just interested in science anyways?
So for my sister, that's like kind of what inspired her to go towards science and stuff. She does like immunology now. And then for me, it was kind of like that. I had like a really good teacher in high school that helped me get interested in biology. And it's definitely helped me have an understanding. Like I can go to the doctors and you know they can talk to me about like my medications and like what's going on. And, like I understand.
How things work a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know a lot of like my problems are the fact that like I feel like I don't have like control over my body, and that helps me. Even though like I can't control what's going on, at least like I understand it.
So you know what's going on, but
yeah. I know why I'm all fucked up inside. Like growing up, I was picked on a lot for being sick.
Oh
I don't know
wow.
how that makes
Kids
sense.
are awful. They'll pick on you for anything.
Yeah.
My God.
But then like you know when I got to college and stuff and I was living with people, my mom was like, you have to tell them, because I had like seizures and stuff sometimes. And she was like, they have to know in case something happens. And I was like, yeah, I know. So I kind of had to start being like more upfront about it.
So you lived on campus?
Yeah.
All 4 years?
I transferred a lot, so I only lived on campus like 3 years.
Did you find like the people in college were more understanding and helpful with you?
In a way, I guess. I mean, they were like definitely accepting. But I don't really like hang out with other sick people. I don't really know other sick people other than like my family. I've just always liked people that are more like healthy, full of life, and not like me.
So where are you now with like your chronic illness? Like, do you think it's better now than it was when it all started?
No. I mean, when I first started, I was stupid, you know, I was a kid, and even though like I saw my sister as sick as she was, I didn't really take it that seriously. You know, like my symptoms, they weren't that bad, you know. I was like really tired all the time and my joints hurt. But the medicine just like it made me so sick. Cause like I've always had stomach problems like since I was a kid. But I kind of did it to myself at first, you know. I didn't really take my medicine responsibly, and I ended up getting like really sick. It's like, it's gone up and down, you know, it like comes in waves. Like the fall and winter time was really hard. But I've sort of like plateaued, I guess, in recent years.
How do you prefer it, to be plateaued or to be like up and down?
I like the plateaus because at least it's like steady.
Consistent.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, every time, like when I'd have the ups and downs, it's like, you know, every time I wouldn't get like as sick, but then every time I wouldn't get like as better.
So one thing I'm kind of interested about, I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this, but like using like cannabis to help. Because I mean, I know that's like proven, not necessarily proven, but I mean, yes.
Yeah, it kind
people
of
use it, it helps them. Do you find that it does better than like other medicines, or what's your thoughts on that?
Actually, I do, and I think like, you know, very highly of using that as like an alternative medicine, because especially like when my stomach got bad, you know, that came on like pretty fast. You know, I just like wasn't able to eat, like just constant nausea, like gagging all the time. My stomach just hurt. And I dropped like a lot of weight really fast. Being able to smoke made it manageable to at least get through my senior year of college.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like my stomach issues were also tied to stress.
So it makes it tolerable.
Stress.
Yeah. It helps with like the pain and nausea, and sometimes gives me the munchies.
So do you hope like by talking about this and hopefully getting more people to talk about it and understand it, it can bring more awareness and then get these people more help?
I think right now, you know, in America, it's really important to be more understanding of people with disabilities, because, you know, they're really trying to take away a lot of like protections from people who have disabilities and their like insurance coverages and things like that. And like, we already pay so much, you know, and I mean, things are kind of hard enough as it is, and a lot of people, you know, aren't able to work. Even for me, like I have my full teaching license. I could, you know, be in a classroom, but I can't because of my health. I mean, I don't want to say like I've settled because I love my job, but I'm kind of like settled for something that's less work that I can actually manage, and making less money. Like I can't really afford to take care of myself, and I think that's something that a lot of people with disabilities struggle with. And so I think it would be nice for people to be more understanding and maybe like sensitive to what people are going through.
Because just because you don't see it necessarily on the outside, it's just like anything, you don't know what other people are going through. It's already hard enough.
Yeah, just kind of like the whole point of Useful Mistakes too is like to like our interviews to like, you know, show people how many people are going through something. Like everybody's going through something or has gone through something. Thank you for coming here today and helping us bring awareness to chronic illness, because definitely brought awareness to me. I didn't really know much about it until after this conversation, so
being able to open up and talk about it to everyone, I know it's probably hard, so thank you for that.
Thank you for having me, letting me vent.
Yeah, of course. Alright guys, see you.
Vote 2020!
Yes.
Need to put that out there while we still can.
Okay, so see y'all not next week, but the week after. I do that every time.
2 weeks. Bye.